What's up, ITL fam? Welcome back to episode 3 of season 3 of the Ignite the Light podcast. I am your host, Alicia, and we are excited because class is in session again. Y'all have had a week off to study up, do what you gotta do, but today's class is called Walk the Walk 103. So we are gonna be chopping it up about that. It is gonna be amazing, and we have special guests here, Austin, and we are hype. So I know Austin, but y'all don't know him too well. So Austin, why don't you share with the peoples a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, my name's Austin Andrews. I just turned 18 like 3 days ago.
Wow.
And some of my passions are, I do Christian content. I make Instagram reels, and I just post on there a lot, and TikTok too, but not as much. And then I go to the gym. I'm really involved in my youth group at Highlands Church off of Pinnacle Peak in Pima. Pull up.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. God's just been abundantly providing for me this year, so I've just been really, really blessed, and I'm super grateful for everything He's done in my life, and I feel pretty steadfast in my walk right now. So I'm just super hyped to be here and really excited.
That's beautiful. That is so cool. That takes a lot of courage. How old are you?
18. I said 18.
Oh yeah, 18.
I said that, boy.
Dang. 18. He just turned 18.
Just turned
Dang.
18.
What'd you do for your birthday?
I did a volleyball night with my friends at Highlands because, it's free and I wasn't trying to spend that much money. And because I bought a car for my 18th birthday. I've been working hard. Yeah, so I've just been really blessed, like I said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Most definitely. Bought a car. That's an 18-year-old birthday for you.
Yeah.
That is one of them. So
I did it myself, guys. My parents did not buy the car.
Hold on. He had to let us know.
Yeah.
He had to let us know. So today we are super excited because we're talking about this concept that I think it's cool because it just includes the word light in this podcast. It's all about light. And what we want to dive into first is this definition of being the salt and light of the world. We kind of hear that a lot. Sometimes it goes over our head, or we're like, what does that really mean? So I want to hear from you. What is your definition of being the salt and light of the world in your own words?
All right. Well, I think it's walking in action, walking out, walking according to the principles of how we're supposed to live, like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
That is how you're supposed to show the light of Jesus, is by trying our best to live the way that He lived, because we can't do it perfectly.
Yeah.
Because He was perfect, and we're not. But so just walking in action, walking the way that Jesus did, or trying our best to.
Yeah.
And should I go through a Bible verse that?
Yeah, because he's been in His Word, y'all.
Yeah. Matthew 5:13-16 in NIV says, "You are the salt and light of the world, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may not see good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So, I just take that in as being the salt is being like a flavored person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are actively going out into the world and trying your best to live like Jesus, and people see that through you as being the light.
Yeah, that's good. And I think even too, when God calls us, He doesn't just call us to go and, hide and do life alone. He wants us to go back into that same school, that same job, that same any place. And He wants us to be the salt, to be different, for someone to be like, wow, why is that guy so joyful?
Exactly. Like being a light in this world that's so dark, especially this world's getting darker.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely believe in this generation. I think there's going to be these teenagers now. I absolutely believe that they're going to change the world, and they're going to bring people back to Jesus. And
yeah.
This is not we don't know when Jesus is coming back, but we're here. We're trying to bring as many people to Him as possible. So that's what it means to be a light. Because if it's the Bible verse said, what's salt without its saltiness? So if you're living, or Jesus, but you're not actively trying your best to live like Him, there's no good for salt that's not salty. There's if you know Jesus, you got to be a flavored person.
Yeah.
So actively living out how Jesus did. Trying your best to is the best way to be a light.
And I think that's what's super cool about people that watch your content or listen to this podcast is they are wanting to be saltier, to be more light, and they're like, yo, like how can I be more like him? Which is just, it's a battle and it is a mission that will never be done. It will literally be all the way up until we're on our deathbed, really, that we're like, I shouldn't have said that, or I should have done this. And I think that's what's cool about the Christian walk. It's not a race, it's a marathon. It lasts the rest of your life. So no pressure. Literally no pressure. Just know that, you're not going to be perfect after a week walking with God, after a year, after 5 years. It really takes time. And he's like, yo, work on this. Work on this. You shouldn't have said that to this. You're like, oh.
Yeah, it's not going to be overnight.
Yeah. So no pressure, guys. No pressure. But I gotta hear, because they say we're all born in sin. You know how they say, we're like, wah, and then we're like, we hit someone and we like steal our mom's candy.
We're born into it. That's how we are as humans.
We're born into it, and we like to be real on here. So when did you realize? Because how long have you been a Christian?
I was born and raised. So my dad, I have an incredible dad. He brought me to church since I was little. I might have been playing Clash of Clans the entire time I was there. When I was little.
Wow, that game took me back. That game was it.
But I was going when I was little. I didn't know. It didn't really mean anything to me when I was little because I didn't understand it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I've basically always believed in Jesus. Like I can't remember a time where I didn't.
Yeah.
But freshman year, winter camp is when it hit me and realized that I wasn't just talking the talk and not walking the walk.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when it really hit me. But I grew up at Highlands. I have my family always went there, and at least my dad always went. I always went with him. He's like my best friend.
Yeah.
But freshman year, winter camp changed my life, and I had an encounter with God at winter camp, and I was just radically changed ever since then.
Dang.
Worship there was crazy, and that I've never felt emotions like that. Like I feel like before that I was a shut down person. I didn't know who I was until I met Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing else that's gonna fulfill you but Jesus.
Yeah. And I think that's even a testimony to like get to those camps, because sometimes it is scary for people to do something out of their comfort zone, or if they don't have any friends going, but it's like you never even know what's on the other side of you stepping out.
My dad had to force me to go to camp.
Hey, some good parenting.
But I went,
yeah,
it is. But I came back
radically
radically changed because I had gone to a camp in Oregon. I lived there for 2 years after my parents separated. And I went to a camp there, and it was awesome. But I still didn't know. I was there because I wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't go for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And so when I came back and lived with my dad here, I just didn't want to go, and my dad's like, just go this one time, and
Mm-hmm.
I have been at church every week since then.
Wow.
And I'm glad he forced me to go.
He's glad. Hey, it paid off.
It did.
Dang. You're not the only one. I know a couple kids like that even just as they were in those teenage years, they went and their life has just been radically changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like a lot of students still go, and they're just going there because like at Highlands for summer camp, we go to San Diego.
Wow.
So we go
camp.
to the beach every day. It's pretty awesome, worshiping Jesus on the beach. We had baptisms on the beach this year. 13 students got baptized, and it was incredible. Wow. It was super emotional. I'm a little jealous that I didn't get baptized in the ocean actually, but
that would be something different.
I was like, dang, why didn't I wait?
Right.
But
Right.
I already got
baptized. That's crazy. So I gotta know, because that's just priceless. And I think it even speaks a lot to like your dad to make you to go, because sometimes, and I know my parents get this question. My parents are super like rigid growing up, and they would make us go to things like that. But they get questions now as parents. They're like, how do you get your kids, their teens, to go? My kids don't go, and then they stay home. And it's like, yo, to know your influence as a parent and to make things like that optional. Even this is like super far out, but when you think of your own family one day and it's like, yo, there might be some things that my kids are like, no, and they might be a little mad at me for a little, or they're like, oh, that's not cool, but it's like the payoff is just you can't even make it
think
up.
you got to give them a little push, because I think some parents might be like hammered down on it, and so that can result in your kids walking away because they're like freaked out. My dad he's one of the most gentle and kind people I've ever met in my life. I don't think I've heard him raise his voice before. Like, he's just, I could not ask for a better dad.
Wow.
I'm seriously so blessed that he's in my life, and he raised me the way he did. He's always talked to me like an adult, so that's probably why I am the way I am, is because of my dad.
Yeah. And
I'm super blessed to have him as a father figure.
Shameless plug, dad. Shameless.
I have the best dad.
Big plug, dad. Wait, I love that. Okay, so when it comes to this book, because I think it's cool that God left us the Bible, this book. If you're only doing audio, you can't see the book. But when it comes to the Bible, I think it's cool because it's this manual, and it's like everything that God included in here. And he wanted to include it because he wanted us to read it. He wanted us to know something about this person, his character, something that happened in history. And I want to know, when it comes to you reading this, who do you admire in the Bible that does this well? This thing of walking the walk, talking the talk, being the salt and light of the earth. Who's like your guy in here?
You know,
or girl?
I listened to that question. I had to think, who could I possibly like? What is my answer for that? And then I was like, dude, Jesus. Like, he's the ultimate example.
Yeah.
I tried to think, it's like, like who did a really good job of that? I'm like, Jesus. Yeah. Jesus did. Yeah. He's the ultimate example of how we're supposed to live. And he left us this book, and it's literally what was the word you used? I lost the word. Manual for how we're supposed to live. Glad I have that one. Yeah. Yeah. And he's the perfect example of being, he is the light of the world. Yeah. And we're trying to be the light by following his steps and living how he did. That is the light. He is the light of the world. So living like him is being a light in a world full of darkness. Yeah, literally. And I think, so I want to hear, because sometimes, and at least I know for myself growing up, it would be just like, play the Jesus card on everything, you know? So when did you start to realize this? Was it when you were reading a certain book? Like, when did you start to learn more about his character, and it wasn't just like, oh, Jesus loves you, Jesus is the best, Jesus is perfect? Like, do you have a specific story or something where you're like, yo, he was him, capital H. Capital H, he was him. Capitalize the H, guys. Literally. Like, make sure I always get mad when people don't, too. It's like, capitalize it. Respect his name. Put some respect. Put respect on his name. Seriously. But I remember I read a Bible verse. I don't remember the exact one, and it was just like Jesus being sarcastic. And it was really funny, actually. Like, Jesus was really funny, guys. Yeah. And like, I mean, it was funny. And I was like, I don't know why that stuck out to me, but he was just Jesus being sarcastic. Yeah. And he had a sense of humor. And that kind of just was like this was an actual person. It was like I realized like this, he wasn't just like, it like you have to actually read the story of Jesus. You do. And like, you learn his character, and he's humorous, and he's loving and kind and gentle, and it's like you have to go read John, and read the life of Jesus. Yep. And like, know his character. You know what I mean? You really do. And you can find that in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're kind of all different different stories or different accounts. They're written by different authors. And sometimes when I was growing up, I did not know. I thought they were all about separate things. And then when I finally read them, I was like, oh, they're all the same. That's interesting. But that is where a lot of people actually advise new believers to start, or people that are just wanting to get into the Bible, because the first thing we do, we open the book, we're like, all right, here we go, Genesis. And there is no wrong place to start, but there comes a lot when you can learn about Jesus, what he did, his character. And like we said, we want to model that here on earth. So
shameless plug. I gotta stop saying shameless plug. Shameless plug Jesus, which is what this entire thing is about. That's crazy. That's crazy. So you're walking this walk, 18 now, been transformed since freshman year. I want to hear, what's one of the biggest challenges you still face or that you did face when it came to living out your faith at, I mean, 18 is old, but 18 is young, you know? So what's one of those biggest challenges you still face?
I'm an adult now. This is weird.
Right.
I'm going to say I probably have had an easier time with this just because I've never been the type to party. I've never been the type to drink.
Oh, wow.
Or
That's
anything.
good to know.
I've never drank or smoked or anything. So I've never struggled with any of those things just because my dad was a good dad and he I just never, I was like, oh, that's bad, and stayed away from it. So I just had that mentality since I was little. So, and it just stuck, you know. I'm a goody two shoes. I was always a rule follower. I was the teacher's pet. Like I was
student of the month,
breaking rules. I was all, you know, a little clip chart thing. I was always at the top, the little green, like the good one. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know. I do know. You're like,
so
yes.
I haven't really struggled with that kind of stuff, you know. And a lot of teenagers my age, drinking, parties, smoking, lust, whatever. That's the reality of the world. That's what teenagers struggle with, because those things, it's a little bit of fulfillment. It makes you feel good for a little while, but it's not going to fulfill you forever. It's temporary. The only thing that's eternal is the love of Jesus, and trying your best to live like him will fulfill you. It, like, being in the Word is going to fulfill you. Spending quiet time with God is going to fulfill you. Drinking, smoking, lust is not going to fulfill you. There's one thing that's going to fulfill you, and it's Jesus.
Yeah, that is true. And I think even your story, part of that, it's like most kids don't have that. Most kids are having to turn around or things like that. Because even I know, I could count on my hands how many people I know like you that, you know, didn't even dip a toe into that world and have to come back. So that's a blessing, and there's a reason why God
blessed.
led you through that.
I never entered that kind of world, so I've never had to deal with those things. And I struggle with, like, sometimes having grace for those people, because I never experienced it. It's like, oh, I don't do that. Like, why do you do that? And I'm like, but that's something I have to humble myself sometimes. Like, that's not, I'm extremely blessed to have not gone through that, because I'd say more people have gone through that than not.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I'm just super blessed that I didn't go through an area of life like that. I've had other struggles, like my parents separating was hard, but I think that made me mature faster, honestly. And even my little brother, I think he maybe matured the other way. You know, like he didn't choose the path that I chose, and, you know, he looks up to me and he sees the way that I'm living, but it's not, he didn't choose this way. He does all those other things, and it's I love him to death, and I'm so happy that he's my little brother, and I'm super proud of him. But you know, we're on two different paths right now. Yeah. And I'm just trying to live like Jesus, so he can see that and see why I'm so happy, and I have life too in abundance. Like I'm so blessed. Like, seriously, like, I got really emotional on my birthday looking at how blessed I am and how fortunate I am. And I didn't struggle with those things, and a lot of people do. And there's no too far gone for Jesus. There is not. And I might not have ever taken those steps, but even to those who have, it doesn't matter. Jesus he's there with open arms. He always is. And Jesus, he's always there. You can't go too far from Jesus. He's waiting there with open arms.
He's waiting. And I think it's interesting to hear how even people raised in the same family can go on two different paths. And that's real. It's not like, oh, my siblings now are the same. I know a lot of people, they have siblings that they're very different from, or they're scared to go down the path with Jesus because they might be first generation Christians. Like, they don't even have the mom or the dad to support them. So that kind of gets me into my next question, which is, who was it that has helped you along this journey of what it means to be the salt and light of the earth?
All right, so I'm going to say it again. My dad and
Hey.
I'm gonna say my youth pastor Josiah
Okay.
have both been probably some of the biggest influences of my entire life.
Wow.
My dad, since I was little, talked to me like I was an adult, and even when my parents got divorced and they separated, I think I took that and matured faster and just like I moved to Oregon with my mom at the time just because I was 10. I didn't know better, but I missed my dad like crazy because he's my best friend. I love my mom too. Like she's great and she still lives in Oregon right now, so I need to go visit her and my little brother soon. But like I moved back after 2 years. My little brother still lives there, but I moved back, and my dad, he's always been the biggest influence for me. Like he's an entrepreneur. He loves Jesus. He he's all. I used to pray with him when I was little.
Wow.
Like I remember he would. When he was praying by his bed, and I'd go jump on his back. Like I've had it in my life since I was little, you know. So I've always had that. I've always had him as my father figure and my best friend.
Yeah.
So I'm just blessed to have him in my life. He is my mentor, and I love him to death. Like me and him share the same birthday too. So it was awesome. It was awesome to share. It's
cool.
awesome to share a birthday with him, and I have to give credit to him for the person that I am and the man that I'm becoming because of my dad. What he's installed in me since I was little. This is he is a huge part of why I am who I am now.
Yeah.
And then as far as it goes with Josiah, he does social media too, so he's like a mentor for me. His biblical knowledge is insane and it's inspiring, and like if I have a question or I'm struggling with something, I call Josiah and he just knows.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
or if my friend's struggling with something I don't know how to help, Josiah, call him.
Yeah,
you know, I got him on speed dial.
Dang.
Right? He's always there, and he's loving, and he's so gentle. He is more caring for all the students at HSH than any other person I've ever seen. Like
Wow.
he seriously cares so much, and I know that I know of students that are struggling inside of our youth group, and he's doing everything he can to help them.
Wow.
And he behind the scenes, y'all gotta give that man credit for everything he does. Like he is so on fire for Jesus, and his testimony is insane. Like he has such an incredible testimony, and it's just amazing. He really has impacted my life in such a crazy way, and he's only been the youth pastor for I think like 8 months or something like that.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But he's been at Highlands for a long time, so
Okay.
I've known him for years, but especially recently he like when he took over, because I'm involved like every other week. I lead a Bible study and do volleyball nights at Highlands, and then we throughout the summer, so students have something to do every week. And then he does an HSH night or something. Like we're figuring it out right now, and then throughout the year it's HSH every week. Pull up.
Pull up, though. Literally.
Shameless plug.
If you're a teenager, if you're not,
if you're a teenager, if you're an adult, that would be weird. I'm still in high school. I'm still going into senior year. I'm just old, I think. I think my dad wanted me to be big for football or something. He doesn't say that's why, but that's what I think it was. But
still got 1 more year.
I got 1 more year.
One more year. Dang, that is just you are very blessed to have those people in your life.
I am so blessed. I got really emotional on my birthday thinking about how blessed I am. I don't know other teenagers that have that relationship with their dad the way that I do. Like he literally is my best friend. I will tell that man everything. And then Josiah is just like to have the mentors in my life that I do. I'm so blessed.
Yeah. Wow. Dad is gonna be pretty happy when he hears this episode.
Yep.
Dad 103. He'd be like, that's my boy. That's the name I'm looking for. So I need you to talk to the person right now, someone that's kind of like, they're on the fence because they know they love God and they're trying to see how they can show that love in that life. So what would you advise or tell someone that know they love God but thinks it'll be too hard to fully live it out?
Do it.
Just do
I
it.
promise you, there's nothing that's going to fulfill you like Jesus will.
Yeah.
And I tried to fill the Jesus-shaped hole in my heart with everything before I really was changed freshman year.
Yeah.
Like I didn't try anything crazy, but I was just living without Jesus sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was always a hole in my heart,
Yeah.
and I tried to fill it with people, friendships, or relationships that were not they were dragging me down,
Mm-hmm.
and they were dragging me down,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't until I filled the Jesus shaped hole in my heart with Jesus that
Yeah.
I felt whole.
Yeah.
I have this joy that's abundant, and I have it all the time. But I was
Mm-hmm.
like people's like, how do you have this joy
Why is this
all
guy
the
so
time? Why is
happy?
this guy so happy, dude?
Yeah.
Like, stop smiling, you know?
You're like,
And
oh, my bad.
oh, my bad. But it's because of Jesus, and I know I'm loved abundantly, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just I have Jesus. There's nothing like the love of Jesus. There's nowhere in the world that you're gonna find peace and fulfillment except through Him, through
Yeah.
what He did for us. And yeah, yeah,
Just do it.
just do it.
Just do
I
it.
promise you, there's nothing better.
Yeah. And I think even, I mean, we try a lot of things. We might try a new routine. We might try reading a new book. We might try a new hobby. So why don't you try Jesus for a
Hmm.
little and see what happens?
See what happens.
See
I
what happens.
promise you, you'll be changed. There's nothing like it. There
Yeah.
is nothing like it.
Yeah. There nothing is. Nothing is. So what are 2 to 3 ways that helped you that you so this person's like, okay, I'm gonna just do it. Just do it. Like Nike said. Like Nike literally
Like
says.
Nike
And you
literally
see
said.
where they're at. So
Yeah.
we see where they're at. So what are 2 to 3 things that helped you that you would advise someone to do right now in order to walk the walk of their faith?
I got all three in Matthew 6.
Matthew 6. That's his book,
Praying,
guys.
fasting, and generosity.
Hmm.
Okay, first of all, praying is so important, and
Yeah.
making that a routine in your daily life is the best thing that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. Like, pray when you wake up, pray before you eat, pray before you go to bed,
Yeah.
pray like if you just something's on your heart, pray about it.
Yeah.
Seriously, if like, and trust Him, pray bold prayers. Let me say something really crazy, really quick. Like, this is like I I can't help but believe in Jesus
Yeah.
after this thing so I did a 40 day prayer journal. So every single morning I started out the same with a routine. I
Mm-hmm.
woke up, I hit my knees in prayer,
Okay.
and I prayed over the same like 7 or 8 bold prayers that I had. And I won't go over all of them, but one of the main things I prayed over is a year ago. My mom had terminal stomach cancer,
Hmm.
and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
why it was happening. I was freaked out. And a
Wow.
couple months ago, I started this 40-day prayer journal, and that was one of the things I circled in prayer. And at the end of the 40-day prayer journal, after I prayed for my mom for 40 days, on the day after Mother's Day, my mom called me. She's crying, and the cancer was completely gone. And
Wow.
they no explanation. It was just gone.
Wow.
That's a God thing. That's a terminal
Yep.
cancer doesn't up and walk away,
Yep.
guys. That's a God thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone's gonna ask me, he's like, oh well, I don't know about this whole Jesus thing. It's like I've watched him do miracles. God still performs miracles. This
Yeah, he
isn't.
does.
This is not a. It didn't end when they stopped, like adding books to the Bible. Like
Mm-hmm.
he performs miracles. And he still does.
Yeah.
And then as far as fasting is so important. I don't think it's talked about in church enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is so important. It's like sacrificing, or giving up like all like literal nutrients and letting Jesus be your nutrients, and like
Mm-hmm.
trust that He's gonna fulfill your body, but you just have to trust Him. And
Yeah.
when you're fasting, you have to be praying, constantly in the Word, or like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not like doing all that while you're fasting, then you're basically just starving yourself. So you gotta be
Uh-oh.
in your Word
And that's a
for
whole other
sure.
discussion.
Yeah, that is a whole other discussion. Do not do that. But so fasting is really important. I do think churches need to start talking about it more.
Mm-hmm.
I read a book about fasting with Josiah, and I don't remember the name of the church or the pastor that wrote the book, but his whole church does an annual fast together.
Wow.
And what I read, insane miracles happen. Like fasting can give you breakthroughs, and like you can't don't fast because you want something from God. That's not how God works.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely fast, and like he will perform miracles in your life, but you have to trust him. Trust him and be bold in your prayer. Be bold when fasting.
Yeah.
And then generosity, be generous. Be
Mm-hmm.
generous. Like even if you don't have much, if you're generous with what the little that you have,
Mm-hmm.
that says a lot. If like compared to a wealthy person that barely gives it, like
Yep.
I don't know, if I had a lot of money, I feel like I'd give a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think I give a lot from what I have now,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta tithe. I don't know,
Tithe. Yep.
tithe. I can't talk, guys,
It's
but
okay.
and that's also really important. It's just like even when you don't have much, completely trusting God and still
Still
being
trust.
generous to
Yeah.
others, being generous to the church.
Yeah.
I think that's really important as well. And He will deliver you, man.
He will.
Those things. That's what Matthew 6 talks about.
Yep.
You know.
He will. And I think it's like these are true just principles that the Lord has called us to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes they can feel, or we may not know about them. For one, we may
Yeah.
not what we may know
I literally
praying. We
didn't
might know
know
praying.
how important fasting was up until like the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
Like that's how like because my like churches just don't talk about it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is so important.
Mm-hmm.
It really is so important. And it's definitely something that I think churches have to talk about more because it's such an important thing in Matthew 6. It
Yeah.
says when you pray, when you fast, and when you give.
Mm-hmm.
That is it is so important.
Set the blueprint. And even if it's something where you feel as if you don't have money or something, you can be generous with your time. You can get plugged into a place. You can decide that you want to serve there. It's like it doesn't always have to be materialistic things,
Yeah.
whether it's helping that family member, whether it's like going to your grandma's and you're like, grandma, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna help you do what you want to do, grandma. Like anything small. And it's those little things you're like, I could really use my Saturday or what for whatever I want to do. But it's like those little sacrifices really do get us crowns in heaven, really are the things that Jesus would be doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, even just to instill at such a young age. It's like, no, we're going to start this way. We're going to start this way. And
Absolutely.
it's life changing.
Mm-hmm.
Exhibit A. Exhibit A.
Austin Andrews.
Oh, true. Exhibit double. Exhibit double A. He was too quick with that. Well, guys, we are wrapping it up for today's class. Y'all can start putting away your little pencil pouches.
I hope y'all took notes.
Took some notes. Turn off your laptops. Yep. Pray fast, give. Anything else you'd like to share with the people? Any last words?
I love you. Jesus loves you. And trust him, and he will fulfill you. That like seriously, nothing else is gonna fulfill you. And let Jesus work in your life. Be bold in your prayer. And yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Austin, for everything today, sharing your story, sharing your heart, sharing the miracle with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, that's not even the only one, but that is huge.
Yep. And I remember I had asked him this question. It's like, how do you know? I forgot what the question was, but like, the question was, how do you know that Jesus is? What makes you be bold about your faith? And like the thing you said was like the miracles I've seen him perform. Yeah. At the time, I didn't know that story, but now knowing him, like, dang, no wonder he said that right off the jump. He's like, this is why.
He still performs miracles.
Yep, absolutely.
Our God is incredible.
He's
bigger
incredible.
than all things.
Yep, he really is. Well, thank y'all for tuning in, for coming to class. The attendance has been at a sky high for this season. We are very proud. We'll be passing you all at the end of the season. We are so blessed, and y'all go out and ignite the light in someone else's day. So peace out, guys.
Peace out.